July 6th, and it's a special episode. Ryan Ruocco is here, and I think it's more of a Yankee State of the Union than Orioles recap. Let's get into it. Let's talk Yanks.
Talking Yanks with old John Boy, Jake.
Ryan. Oh, that's right. We play the music.
Tweener.
We play the music short when we're not happy, and it's tough to say we're happy right now.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that makes sense, but I was actually relying on the music to boost the mood, so I guess I have to go somewhere else.
I couldn't do the sad song.
Yeah, we also
you'd have liked it.
We added a sad song this year, which it's interesting, and I've got the comments going right now, and it is funny. One of the first comments that made me laugh is like, oh, they said only this team could make a series split against one of the top 5 teams in baseball feel awful. So yeah, there's going to be some real emotions on this episode, and I think people do love that. Unfortunately, it feels like we've been having too many of these State of the Union episodes the past couple years. But Ryan Ruocco, before I tee you up for some hey, how are yous, and then just getting into it, I will say, and I forget if I said this last time you were on. We've I mean, now that we know you and Shackil, our boys, going back, you're just a guy to us. But going back in the Talkin Yanks time chamber, I'm a sports nut. I, throw on ESPN whenever I check into a hotel room. And when we were building this all up, you're Ryan Ruocco. He's calling games. This guy's on TV. A moment that will be ever frozen in my head in a beautiful way, because I think we've come along. I think in the past 5 years, we've come a little bit from be as neutral as a broadcaster as you want to be. Like, I feel like K-Ster used to really take pride in that. Now it's okay to show that if you're a fan of a team and lean into that a little bit. And when you were leaving, I think it was game 4 of the ALCS last year against Houston, or was it the DS? I forget. But we were sitting.
Which game was it? I think it was.
Or was it game?
I think
3?
It was against Houston. I think, right?
It was game 3 because we did.
Yeah. It was game 3 because my wife was there, because Andrea was there.
We did an event for game 4 as the Yankees were about to get swept, which was a sad event of its own. But Ryan, we were sitting in the same section up there, and I think we waved earlier, but it was playoff baseball. You were up there, and when you were leaving, you were furious. you were,
I was so upset.
You were because you are a true Yankee fan, and you've shown that multiple times on Talkin Yanks. So I'm happy to have you here, and I'm happy because I know you're happy to come here. When John Boy goes on paternity leave, we try to do the rounds with some of our Talkin Yanks friends. You were busy in Oakland, which we will talk about a little bit. But you were like, hey, let me know because I want to come on to talk some Yanks. So with that, Ryan Ruocco, how you doing, man?
I'm great, man. I'm great. I love you guys. I love listening to you and Jimmy, and congrats to him on his beautiful baby. Yeah. I'm sure he's fighting all the things that happen with a newborn, but it is a surreal, amazing experience, and to have his family grow is truly amazing. So congrats to him and his wife and their entire family. And I man, I think what you said is true. Like, there's a way to, I think, and I have gotten more comfortable with it too, be authentic about what's in your heart, what's in your soul about a team you cover without it denting your professionalism, right? And obviously it's different in different roles. When I do a national game, I don't care who wins. Now, granted, I don't do national baseball really. I filled in a time or two on radio, but I just do national basketball. But, sometimes I do the Nets, who are my team on Yes. But when I do a national Nets game, like, I don't care if they win or they lose, because the only thing I care about is it being a close game and it being an awesome broadcast, right? But when I am doing a Yankees game on Yes, like, I don't see how me finding greater joy in them doing well is bad for the broadcast, right, or inhibits it. And I could go on and lie about it with you or try and be coy about it. I think social media pulled the curtain back on some of that stuff for some people, you know. And then I also think the evolution of kind of where we're at with media, because there used to be this thought of like, oh, if you are that way, you're not going to be objective. But for me, I feel like I'm able to compartmentalize it. Not to mention, I think a lot of times fans are actually harder on their team. So I almost feel like the professional part of you brings back the fandom part of you to a place that's more suitable for air rather than the reverse. So yeah, I think there is a way to do it, and I appreciate that you appreciate the way this team and this organization is in my soul.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that brought it to light for me a little bit, and I think for true sports fans on the whole, was when Joe Buck was getting hated by both sides during the World Series, when he would really call it down the middle, like he was, and I think that kind of opened up everyone's eyes that it's like, hey, if we're gonna feel this way, like I don't know, it's nice. I think, especially, I'm super biased now because we've now built something that's built on being fan media. But Michael K being from the Bronx, you being a Yankees fan, like I think that adds elements at the times when that element needs to be added. That it can be, whether that's high or low, because we would all much rather have that emotion than, well, Yankees go down 13-0 and let's go to the top of the sixth. Like, no, this stinks.
Totally. And, our producer for the Yankees, Troy Benjamin, who is an encyclopedia of sports knowledge, literally can regurgitate more sports history than anybody I've ever met in my life, and grew up a huge Yankee fan in Harlem, and would go to bed with the radio on under his pillow, listen to the sports talk. And he always says to me about myself, about Michael, about Shaq, that he uses the phrase, the one I've used earlier, the Yankees are in your soul. And because of that, there are things that you can bring to the broadcast that are just not accessible to someone who may have all the technical skills, but doesn't have that, right? Not to say you couldn't bring somebody in who grew up a Dodgers fan and have them be an amazing Yankee broadcaster. Of course you could, but there's references, there's feelings, there's memories, there's something about like the experience that you feel differently. No different than what Gary Cohen has on the other side of things, right, with the Mets, right? Growing up going to games at Shea. So I think that there's a way to incorporate that, and especially, look, you tune into every Yankee game. I tune into every Yankee game. Maybe I'm not staying all 9 innings, whatever. But it's a part of our daily lives, right? It's a part of Yankees fans' daily lives. There's a connection that you feel then with the broadcast team in baseball that is different than any other announcer fan base connection, because it's 162. It's your entire summer. There's also not as much downtime now with the pitch clock, but there still is, compared to other sports, a lot of downtime, So there is a lot of getting to know the characters in the booth. And when you feel other points of connection, in this case, that, they also have been on this journey with the team you root for, I think it's helpful.
Well, let's get into some of the soul of the Yanks, Rooks, because that's where we're at. This soul of the Yanks segment is brought to you by SeatGeek. Go see a Yanks game. Let your soul out in the stands. A lot of fans were tonight. SeatGeek, they're the #1 rated ticketing app. 28 million downloads, 70,000 events every single day. That one always blows my mind. We say we're going to follow up on it. Green dot means good. Pretty simple. Red dot means not the best deal. And wherever you're going, and by the way, we're heading out to Seattle for the All-Star game. If you're heading out there, nice. The Home Run Derby tickets, my goodness, not a lot of homer ball seats, a lot of red dots there, but I guess it's a hot ticket. So if you use code YANKS, $20 off your first purchase at SeatGeek. That's $20 off your first purchase with promo code YANKS. There's a link in the description. Thank you, SeatGeek. Ryan, where do we want to aim the ship? I guess if you're firing up the group chat tonight, how about this? And me and Jimmy, you've given us both shit-eating grins. Shit-eating grins. Said that weird. Because there's been a couple times, I won't fib about it. It's not like we text every day. We'll send some here and there. But there's been a couple times you've opened up the Jake and John Boy chat and you've let it eat a couple times, and it's been fantastic. So I guess if you were opening up the group chat tonight, Yankees, they win 2 games that feels like there might be momentum behind it. Here we are, a couple innings later, we were up 2-0 in that third game, and the pen was fresh. I guess, where do you want to go? It feels like there's so many hot topics, whether it's big ones, roster construction, or whether it's in the moment. I guess what's on the top of your head right now?
So I have two in the moment things right now that would be on the top of my head. Or the top of my mind. Maybe it's also sitting here. So number one is this. I think that one thing that happens with a baseball season is because a team is always going to win games, sometimes it's hard to truly know what a team is, right? Because the season's so long that even the bad teams win. Obviously, an awful team is going to win 60 games, right? A truly awful team is going to win 60 games. And an okay team is going to win 80 games, right? And so sometimes it's hard to really know what kind of team are you watching when you are basing that off of, how many games were won or lost in a week, because some bad teams are going to have good weeks and some good teams are going to have bad weeks. Obviously, I'm not breaking ground on what it's like to experience a baseball season, but I think what's tricky for Yankees fans as they go through that journey, and this includes myself, is because we are so used to success and because they do always seem to figure it out and get to the postseason, it's really hard to fully buy into the flaws of the team being things that are going to completely derail them, because there's some sort of inherent faith that I just always have that they're going to figure it out and be decent. They're
one of the most successful teams in pro sports. Technically, I mean, yes. Win percentage, they've had a winning record every year. Yeah. They've had a winning record all of BBD's life. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. They win every year. So it's hard to be like, when they don't look good or they're not playing great, it's still hard to fully feel like they don't have it, Right. Now, if you project to October, that's a different conversation. But to just be like, but there are things that are happening in this season where whenever you think things are starting to go good, something bad happens, and it's happening enough that there's one part of my mind that says, beyond the October conversation and roster construction, which we can get to, there's one part of my mind that's saying, like, is this just kind of the way they're going to be? Where it's like, they're going to flirt with turning a corner, but then they're always going to come back to earth. And they're not going to be bad, but they're not really going to be that good either. Or are they going to hold serve? Are we witnessing them just keep their head above water, not be good enough to be great until Judge comes back, God willing he does, / rotation gets figured out here, / you get some sort of acquisition at the deadline, right? And like, as much as the emotional part of me wants to dismiss those reasons I just gave as excuses or wishful thinking, I actually think it's very rational to think that what they're in right now is a keep head above water period where they're never going to look that great, but they're also not going to look that bad for too long. And as long as they stay afloat, they got a chance to have us encouraged going into October. I think that's actually a reasonable take. Sorry.
You're good. I love it. I'm sorry. Yeah. I didn't realize that was part one.
No. The part two is going to be quick though.
Okay.
The part two is going to be quick. On the other big thing on my mind right now is like, you can't keep having these Luis Severino starts. And this would be something that I would be firing up on the group chat. Like right now, for me, he's the guy I need to seriously consider sending to the bullpen, because I have other guys who are giving my team a chance to win each night, right? And even this series against the Orioles, really encouraging signs from the offense the first two games of the series. You can say the first game of the series was the best win of the season. Third game, you lose, but, if not for the way some relievers have been used before, maybe you don't have Nick Ramirez in the sixth inning of a 2-0 game. They're also kind of due for that. Fine. Tonight is really the game where if you win, and Severino did not give you a chance. He gave you no chance. I don't evaluate offense in a game where you're getting absolutely smoked, because what conviction do you have in your at bats when you're down 7-0 in the third inning? So I say this to say, Jake, how much better would we be feeling right now, kind of to tie it all together, if Severino had just pitched well tonight and they'd find a way to win? And should one game swing the emotions that much? Or is that the point? Is the point that this team is always going to give us a little hope and then take it away?
I mean, snaps. And I'm sorry. Sorry for getting in the way of part 2 for a second there.
No. It was way too long.
No,
there were too many chapters. There were too many chapters.
It was beautiful because the first part is logical. And if you're a logical Yankee fan, which we do, it is 99% of our fan base. It's, I think even some of the burners and people that go nuts on Twitter, like that's just a whole nother thing. Whenever we do a live event, it's literally 98, 99% clip that people are logical enough Yankee fans. And then you'll hear that one take and you're like, oh, like, no, let's keep Judge. I like him. But you can still, it's baseball and it's the sickness of it that, yes, like, look at what Volpe has done lately. You can, that can change. It feels like that has changed. That would be significant. Carlos Rodon, which was supposed to be the difference maker in this team, he'll be pitching tomorrow night. Like, that was supposed to be the big ad. And you mentioned a trade deadline acquisition, and we'll see. You could even spin it into potentially, Aaron Hicks is no longer with the Yankees. Sometimes there could be more roster moves that would be addition by subtraction with, some of the guys that, people are probably yelling at their AirPods at right now. And, maybe a Peraza comes up and could be a spark or anything. That obviously the course of baseball. Will Nestor Cortez come back and look like Nestor? Like the Yankees have enough poker chips left that they'll be able to play in the game, right? That we can still hold on to. But it just always feels like we end up at this place, and you wonder if Severino went 7 shutty tonight, we'd say he's back, and this Yankee team won their most important game of the season, and wow, what an at-bat by Rizzo. He's locked back in. I mean, I want to do a little segment with you with some of the older guys because I know Rizzo's kicked back in, but the lack of power. DJ's hitting 7th tonight, and that's scary. This team hasn't felt like they've hit on all cylinders yet. It feels like there's a lot of 2021. I think the frustration this year between 2021, that team was just shockingly slow and right-handed, and it felt like there was double play balls. Like 2 double play balls a game, and it was just like they're almost pitching to this. Like if they walk Voit, like Stanton will hit into the double play. Like this team, I think the part that's so irking is the bad defense and the misplays and the lackadaisical base running that it just feels like, how can you guys not see that without Aaron Judge, by the way, talk about hope for whenever he comes back, because that was the time they played very good baseball this year, and they won me over. I gave a passionate speech on Wake and Jake where I'd talk whatever sports is on my mind, and I said, I told Beebs, I was like, how crazy is it? We have a deal with DraftKings. We're partners with them. I'm a pretty silly guy. I don't have like a bet on the Yankees to win the World Series. Isn't that a little messed up? Like, even just to throw $10 and fire off that tweet and get 1,000 likes and keep it moving, I didn't have that. When Judge and Bader were back and they were rolling and playing good ball, I was like, I can dream. Yeah. Without Judge, without a bunch of other changes, it's really hard to dream. And I think the mistakes really hurt when you just know you're putting out a team that can't afford them, and it seems like they're not affected by the mistakes. And I get it. Baseball's every day, and you got to put your nose down and do your best, and you're going to have 0 for 4s, and I get that. But sometimes the lack of gas pedal hurts me, man, because it's just – it feels like a mindset that very much in the 5th inning of yesterday's game, the Jack Curry before the game, Michael King's fully rested. He's got to be the plan. Let's get it from Vasquez to King. Clay Holmes is a borderline all-star. We'll see if anyone drops out, and he's credit to him. He hasn't been a talking point of this season where he could have been and was for a second. That if they had gone for the death punch, if they had gone Randy Vasquez, who you get 5 clean innings out of against the Orioles, that's crazy. Yeah. That if you go to Michael King, who his last outing, didn't he go 3 innings last time? I'm not saying we need to start.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
We don't need to start expecting that from King, but what if you handed it to King? And what if you stretched out a lead or you gave it to Clay Holmes and you won that 3rd game of the series? Then would you be playing swords out today and playing with free money? Or do you still get blown out? Either way, it doesn't matter because you took care of your business when you needed to. And I don't know. That take care of your business stat, which isn't a stat, they had a little bit of that earlier in the year. Remember when they just kept winning series and it was like, okay, like this hasn't felt pretty at all, but it feels like you guys are digging into that Yankiness. We can win a game when we want to. That feels like it was gone because this was their most important game of the season up until this point. And they threw this out there, which again, there's a lot on Sevy. You're right. You can't blame everyone, but that's tough.
It was ugly and lackadaisical, and the defense was bad, and and then everyone who came in after Severino struggled as well. So I know exactly what you're saying, and I do think there are times like what you're talking about with the gas pedal. I think that there are times the fan base feels it within an individual season with a lack of import on an individual game, right? You guys have even talked about it with Booney on like certain rules he has with his bullpen and okay, what is the game where you break it then, right? Like when do you? Which, by the way, as an aside, I think you and Jimmy have done a fantastic job in your conversations with Boone. I know it's a highly scrutinized spot, and it's an interesting place to be in when you're on that side of the microphone. I've been in those kind of spots in my career many a time. But to me as a fan, I feel served listening to that conversation. I appreciate the way you guys both dive into the weeds and kind of like really check him on what he's saying if you don't immediately accept the logic. And then also, make the conversation feel comfortable so that I think he's like cool having those conversations, So
thank you, and a little credit to Booney. Like Booney has come in with an open mind on it, and he's been great. And I think just like anyone, he comes in, and I think like anyone, you kind of have good days and bad days. There's been a couple times he steps down and he's like, let's go, boys. There's been a couple times he yucks it up for 10 minutes about who knows what, and he's this goofy, fun guy that you're like, I get it. I want to do that, but and thank you. We wanted to serve the people properly and treat it right for Yankee fans. So that's
and you have and he's good at it. He obviously is good with media, and he's a wonderful dude. But I think the interesting thing is and Yankees fans I think feel at times what you're talking about with the stepping on the gas, like let's go. And then also I think organizationally at times too, sort of a feeling of like our process is our process, and like whatever the results are, but no matter what, our process is right. And I think that that may not be a totally fair characterization, and I'm not necessarily saying that's exactly what I believe, but I think sometimes that's the way things come off, and sometimes that's the way fans do interpret it. Like I think about the Toronto Raptors, and I think about the run they had right before they won the NBA Finals. And they had done things the franchise had never done before. They certainly did not have the rich history of the New York Yankees. And they had kind of banged their head against the wall as far as what was happening when they got to the playoffs. And they said, hold on a second. Like, this is not going to be the top of the mountain for us. Like, we are going to make a big change. And they brought in Nick Nurse, even though it probably wasn't, Dwayne Casey did nothing to deserve to be fired, right? But they just felt like that was what they needed to get over the hump, and they traded for Kawhi Leonard. Even though they could have kept winning, 55 games a year with DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry as their two stars, right? And I think there are moments in time during a team's, ascent or a team struggles where sometimes you do have to say, like, hold on a second, why is the same thing happening every time? Like, why aren't we getting over the hump? Because the idea for me that, well, the baseball playoffs are random and this is just, I don't buy it, because I see the Houston Astros handle it really well, very consistently, And so and granted, yes, we know what happened with them, you know, back in 17, but I'm pretty sure they feel a lot better about things and even insults that'll be slung their way after what they did last year. Right. And I think that organizationally, what the Yankees have done objectively well, and as well as anybody in baseball, is build pitching. Like, what they've done with their pitching organizationally has been incredible. They have, they found reclamation projects. They found guys who have one pitch and turned them into, reliable weapons. They've somehow, their defensive positioning is incredible. It's incredible. Even without with the shift restrictions, it's incredible. Their run prevention is elite. It's an organizational thing where you're like, hey, whoever they put in the pen, they're going to be okay.
Right.
It's amazing to behold. So, and a lot of the tools they're using for that analytically, obviously pitch design stuff, Edgemetronic cameras, all that stuff is serving them. So when people just go out and attack analytics blanketly, I don't think it's fair, because a lot of those tools are what are building a pitching staff that's keeping you in games and keeping you in seasons. However, I think offensively, there clearly are some sort of fundamental issues there that have not been resolved, whether it is the roster building or the player development or, the mix of hitters, the approach, whatever it is. Like, clearly there's something there that they still haven't quite adapted to. Now, maybe they haven't felt like they've had the opportunities to adapt, but guys that go back to at times, and I'm just confused as to exactly what happened, is I look at a Greg Bird, I look at a Miguel Andujar, I look at a Gary Sanchez, to a certain degree, Gleyber Torres. I don't put this guy quite in that camp, but let's say Clint Frazier a little bit too. Guys who have shown very real major league offensive talent and have not been able to continue to harness it, develop it, have it fully groomed. Now, it is possible that in each of those cases, it is just something purely about the individual player. And I'm just constructing an argument I want to construct. I'm not naive to that. But is it also possible that there's something that isn't happening in the development that is not maximizing what clearly is real offensive talent there? There's some part of me that's like, why did it take Austin Wells to fix Anthony Volpe's swing? Right? I think that's a fair question. I think that when you look at Aaron Judge, and he's his own man, you have to realize everything he does with his own resources offensively, right? You give the Yankees certainly a lot of credit for drafting him and developing him through the minor leagues, but that guy was going to have success in the major leagues no matter what. That's just how he's built. And then you think about the players they brought in offensively, and kind of, whether or not is there something that happens here that doesn't allow them to access their best skills or continue to develop them. And I think I don't have answers to those things. So so that's why I can't give a full-throated accusation, because I don't think that's fair. But I think if I'm the Yankees and I realize I'm putting myself in position to win a world championship every single year, and this is the thing that's failing me, I want to know those answers. And I want to see if there's something I can do about it. And to Cashman's credit, I think he tried to do it last year with the Benintendi acquisition, right? And I still would have liked to see what the Yankee offense looked like at the end of last year with Benintendi and LeMahieu healthy, because I think that totally derailed their chances of having the kind of October offense they wanted. But I think that there needs to be a real lack of acceptance and satisfaction with the way the offense has been crafted and the way it falls apart without Aaron Judge. And that was a long rant, but that would be my more broad strokes sort of view of if you're looking for bigger picture concerns.
Yeah, I'll add to it, and I'll pivot it to something I've been talking about on Talkin Baseball a lot. That I think where you started, if the Yankees as an organization, if you went around the league, we give Matt Blake a lot of the credit. I'm sure there's other people that deserve it, but you're
Dan Breen, who they brought in from Driveline. Yeah, fantastic.
Look at some of the guys we've brought into the bullpen, and knock on wood, Ian Hamilton came into one of our earliest, biggest games of the season, that Rays game, and he came in for the save. And Ian Hamilton, Nick Ramirez, who I know he ends up in a bad spot this series, but he had been really good, and even the kids, like we had a lot of talks about who are the Yankees going to trade. Do they have pieces to trade? Like, I don't know. From what I've seen from Randy Vasquez, I'm no scout, but I think he's had the highest rated curveball in baseball, and that fastball has the same spin as Cole. So I don't know. It seems like the kids got something there, and I don't know if that's him, the Yankees, but when they need to tap into pitching, they've done a pretty good job of it.
They've been excellent at it, yeah.
The hitting, and Judge carried obviously so much of it last year, and we saw it. And I don't know if it's missing something between the shift getting banned and some of the new rules and the base running. I think your argument, if we went to court with it and you brought up the chicken parm example, it's tough to fight that. Like Jimmy, he has a beautiful way of hitting things on the nose sometimes. That first series, Volpe comes up, close stance, like foot almost over the plate, hitting the ball. Brian Hoke's got the chicken parm story, and it's like, okay, Yankees, Italian, chicken parm. He made a change. This is great.
Yeah.
Jimmy had the look of like a sick airplane patient who was like, how did this not get addressed earlier? And it was a great point that, you wonder how that ties into every other player. And then going from there, and hey, this guy, if he is what he is, and I think he is, I think Yankee fans are going to fall in love with him quickly. But the big change they made was Carlos Rodon. And we're going to see him tomorrow. And I think if he pitches like he does, he'll have a big place in Yankees fans' hearts for the next chunk of years, which is awesome. They went out and got a dude that, is a bigger contract than, I think 10 other teams have ever signed a guy to, and to slot in as their two. So that's where you're the Yankees, and that's pretty cool. I do think they missed a little bit on the best teams around baseball right now, all bang. Go look at the Braves lineup. Michael Harris would be probably the best hitter in the Yankees lineup right now, and he's still slotting in the 9-hole for him. They've got veterans, Rosario and Ozuna, who have stepped up. That's before getting to the top half of their lineup. Go look at the Rays. Jose Siri's OPS is in the 8s. He's a bottom 3 guy for them. That I think there's probably a little bit to be coaching, whether at the highest level or organizationally. I think they put in their heads that we need those horses. We need the Coles. We need the Verlanders. I don't know if that's from Houston. And obviously you do need some of that. Teams have to be built a certain way. But, man, and I don't want this to be shots fired at the guys because, at certain points this year, Billy McKinney's had my heart, man. He was playing with his hair on fire and taking an opportunity and running with it. IKF and everything he's been through, he's given us a heater of a stretch. But at the same time, some of these guys that are in the lineup, and 3-hole Willie Calhoun and, Donaldson and his run with the Yankees and the catchers who are there to catch and not hit, that right now, if you look at the second half of the Yankees lineup on a given night, and by the way, the top half of the guys, they've had some tough stretches recently. The hitting hasn't been there, and I think baseball is in a very hitting mode, whether it's the Rays or the Braves, the Texas Rangers. My goodness, how that team can mash. I think there is a slight misread of the market there, and they don't have those offensive horses that I don't know the solution. Like I would have rather, I think if we had to rearrange budget or payroll or however, that, if you can make some magic happen with some of your arms, which they have now proven, I think you had to put a little more focus into the lineup, and maybe they will, and maybe we'll see some shifts coming up to the trade deadline, and whether that's call-ups or trades or whatever. But right now, this offense can't hang with the big boys of baseball.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they can. And obviously, it's interesting. And this is why, like I said, and it's not a cop-out. It's more so just me just truly trying to evaluate. Like, I don't have full conviction yet in what this team can or can't be because of kind of everything we've talked about, right? And even the idea of, like, Judge. Now, I'm concerned by the outsized impact Aaron Judge has in their offense, but I also know –
right,
because he has that impact, if he comes back, it looks a lot different, right? I also know, I love the Rodon edition because I do feel like there's something that has been missing. Their fatal flaw in October has been their offense. I don't think there's any question about that. But I do think having horses to go out there and start games in October not only gives you, your best chance to shut down an opposing offense, but also helps your own offense. I can remember talking about this with Brian Cashman when I was a senior in college at WFUV. We used to do one show of one-on-one, New York's longest running sports call-in show, live from Yankee Stadium. We would do it on Old Timers Day, and we'd be on the air from 1 to 4. And I think the Old Timers Day game played from 2 to 4. And then the Yankees would play after that. And Brian Cashman was always nice enough to come on with us. And I can remember being a senior in college and asking him, like, about the offensive struggles of that team being affected by their pitching struggles. And I don't know if his thoughts have changed, but it always stuck with me that he validated my thoughts on that. And he was like, yes, and of course that's the offseason where they went all in on getting CeCe and Burnett and then eventually Tex. But I think, and this is why I don't dismiss anything with this team. If I'm rolling out with a fully healthy, locked in Garrett Cole and Carlos Rodon in a playoff series, and then the Yankee bullpen, and whether it's Nestor starting game 3 or Sevy finds it, or it's Clark Schmidt and friends, I'm going to feel really good about my chances to, go out and win a ball game with that pitching. And that's why, as much as the offense has been disappointing and absolutely needs to be addressed if they're going to have a chance, it's not like they need that much. You know what I mean? It's not like they're that far away. And because of that, I think everything's still on the table. Now, to be clear, nothing is on the table if Aaron Judge doesn't come back. Nothing. Like, if you knew Judge wasn't going to come back, you almost would wonder if you're better off trying to sell this year and in a way that helps you retool to be even better next year when he is healthy. That's like the reality of the situation if you don't have Aaron Judge, right? But I think that what you talked about offensively that is a little encouraging to me is the way Volpe's hit. And this is just my own eyes, and who knows if this is true or not, but I don't know if you felt this way, Jake. I have felt like during this streak, he's not just hacking. He takes this massive, massive swing and, obviously has incredible power that I think we've all been impressed by. But, I wanted to see a little bit line drive to left, line drive to right, line drive to center. Okay, we don't need to take one swing all the time. And I think we've seen that during this stretch. And I'm like, oh, wow, this guy could be really good. Love his disposition, love his mentality. All he cares about is baseball. I've been told this for years. I know people who know him very well. His makeup has been absolutely lauded to me forever. And he obviously has an incredible power, and I've liked the way he's played defense. So, and kind of Falefa, the way he's hit, I don't know, but if the outfield, let's say left field, there was a hitter who you got who felt like he fit in this, right? And you got Judge back, and then you decided to play IKF at third, and Volpe's developed this way offensively, or something happens with Glaber and IKF ends up at second, or Peraza does, or, there's things I can construct to say, they're not dead. You know what I mean? they're not, even though nothing's felt great. And I know that nothing's felt great, but they're not dead. I wouldn't dismiss the possibility of things ending up great, even though they don't feel great now. Sometimes, like, hey, think about last year. Did things feel great for the Phillies at this time of year? And I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I'm just saying the pitching is good enough and should get even better, that I won't dismiss the possibility of great things still. If Judge is back.
It's baseball, right? If say Judge, who, I think we got another weird update. He's doing some hitting, or he's
I know. It all feels
some
strange
long
and
toss
vague
going.
in an anti-gravity machine, which
Yeah.
again, that sounds kind of more pessimistic than optimistic. But we wake up in 2 weeks, he's in the Yankees lineup. There's a trade, maybe 3 weeks. That it's baseball. It's baseball. The Yankees could be the best record in the second half. It's baseball. I know it doesn't feel anything close to that, but it is the thing that ends up getting us to turn our heads every time. Well, Houston just jumped us in the standings. It was nice having them below us for a while. Technically, we've had a better season than Toronto up until this point, which feels crazy because I don't know. I obviously haven't been as plugged in, but outside of Manoah, that team hasn't had a ton of what's felt like bad breaks. Again, Toronto fans, if you're somehow tuning into this, I'm sure you have corrections for me. And Ruocco, you approach it the same way as me with Volpe, because there's a certain level of extent that I can't talk about hitting to a certain degree, but you're right. And we were all right. He was pulling off, and he was swinging too big, and he closed up his stance, and he looked so much more comfortable that I'm interested to see how this Cubs weekend series goes. We're missing Stroman and Steele, who are both Cy Young candidates, which maybe that's a blessing in disguise. And then the Rodon factor mixed in that, let Volpe continue. Let's have a couple other things go, and I hope we're talking about some second half magic or something.
Me too.
Or
Me
something.
too. Me too, man.
Let's Ryan, let's do a little bit of fun stuff quick.
Because let's do some fun stuff. You
mentioned your Fordham 2008, 2009 interview with Brian Cashman, which we'll be releasing at the end of this episode. You and Justin Shackil, I think our people know by now, but you guys were roommates. You guys were college buddies that are doing the damn thing. And as we've gotten to know Shackil over here, towing the slab and a bunch of stuff he's done with us, being a broadcaster, it's proud, man. You guys are a proud bunch. There's a lot of kids, even, me, BBD. I think if you're a sports fan at any point, when you have that realization that it might not happen on the field and you say, how can I stay around this? That's one of the first things that pops up. You either go like coach or broadcaster. And for you guys to go for that and do it, and then to get to where you guys are, it's incredible. And then to find yourself in Oakland on a beautiful Wednesday night and calling a perfect game. I didn't piece it together at first. I remember I was watching on TV by myself with the dog. And I was like, wow, our Talkin Yanks fans know anytime you call a game, anything's on the table.
Weird stuff goes on, man.
And then B, when I put it together that, wow, our guy Shackil is on the radio call, the two Fordham guys you post the pic. I want to dig for the nitty gritty details, and whatever you'll give me, I'll take. And I know you guys posted, I think there was an Insta story after that you guys were out with the crew. I think Mayor was there.
Yeah.
Or a couple other people. Was it Mayor or Mayor was out? I forget.
No, Mayor was there.
Mayor was there.
Yeah.
Mayor was there.
Yeah.
I guess give me the behind the scenes. Give us what we don't know.
Yeah, man. I mean, first of all, Shaq and I have been ridiculously close since our time at Fordham. I was a year ahead of him, but I transferred there my freshman year.
Right.
He transferred in midway through his freshman year. So his second semester of his freshman year was my second semester at Fordham.
Okay.
You know? And pretty quickly, me, him, and then our good friends, Bobby Coyle, Lou Baracelli, we all became really close, the four of us together. Lou, who runs PR for MLB Network, does an absolutely fantastic job. I would say is as good a PR man as we have in sports media. And Bobby Coyle, who was my college roommate, who walked on to Fordham's baseball team as a senior. This is Division I. This is A10, you know, and he crushes it in radio sales for Odyssey, selling Yankees and Mets radio, amongst other things. But we just all totally vibed, and we've been incredibly close friends since then. And literally 2 weeks ago, I had Shaq over my house. Like he was here. I think the week before we went to Oakland, they had the 2 off days. They had like the Monday, Thursday off day. He came over on the Thursday with Bobby, and we just had like a chill guys night with Aperol spritzes.
Sure,
and wine. Yeah, exactly. And they help babysit. But so we're really close. Like there's no fabrication of our friendship. Like he's one of my best friends. Had I had my wedding, we would have been groomsmen. So that day, first of all, the travel to get there to Oakland, it was the worst travel day I've ever had in my career. And as you know, I travel all the time.
Yeah.
I do play-by-play for ESPN, and yes, I'm always going to events. Worst travel day I've had in my career. I'm delayed 3 hours the Monday night before the Tuesday game. And then I'm on the tarmac delayed another 3 hours. We go back to the gate. By the time all told, it's like over 6.5 hours of delays, and then it gets canceled. It's 1 a.m. I'm not leaving JFK because I'm trying to find a flight out. What was amazing to me, and I'm very deft at like rebooking flights and everything, and this is what I do, but there was nothing available anywhere west. This was during all those cancellations.
That's right. I was talking to someone trying to get to LA, and they were literally like, it's impossible.
Yeah, there's nothing. Zero. No flights to LA, to San Diego, to Oakland, to San Francisco, to Portland, to Sacramento, to Denver, to Utah. I looked at all of them. I couldn't find any flight. This is Monday night late. This is like 1 a.m. So Tuesday morning, that would get me in for the Tuesday night game. I call my boss, Jared Boschnack, who I love dearly and is a fantastic boss. You guys know Bosch.
We love Bosch.
Like, I called Jared at 1 a.m. I hate waking him up. Guy,
he loved it.
Yeah, I don't know if he did. I don't know if he did, but I will say he is great. He's great with organizing and just getting things done, you know? And I was like, hey man, I've never seen this before, but I don't see a flight out tomorrow. I'm going to keep looking, but my flight just got canceled. And it had happened to 2 other members of our crew. I'm just giving you a little more background.
I love it. Paint the picture.
There, okay. Yeah. Fate of getting there to call the perfect game. So Luke Miller, Sean Sullivan, our tape AD, our graphics coordinator, were both fantastic, also had dealt with this throughout the day and didn't make it out there. Okay. Meredith had gone Sunday night because she was doing a nap a day with Susan on Monday. So she had gone out. And then our producer, Josh Isaac, had gone out with the team on Sunday afternoon, which a lot of times will fly with the team. But, you know, any of us, you know, who travel a ton or who have families, like you're not usually going to take the team charter on a Sunday afternoon when they don't play till Tuesday night. You know, like that's not usually what you're doing. You're flying the day before. And my rule always is like, if I fly day of on my own, which I do sometimes for different reasons, and it's not like because I had an ESPN assignment the night before and now I have another ESPN assignment the next day and that's on them getting me one place today, or yes. If it's like ESPN to yes, or yes to ESPN, or just like me wanting to have the night at home and I go day of and I don't make it, like that's on me. Like I'm in trouble now, you know, if I don't get it. So you got to. But if I try and go the day before, you know, like I do for all my travel and my forces of nature, it's kind of like, I mean, what are you going to do?
You did your best.
So there's no responsibility about like worry about that in this circumstance. But there is this, I want to be there to call the game, obviously. And I also want to be there. Josh Isaac, our producer, was going to be producing his first ever Yankees telecast. I don't want him dealing with me in different location, whatever. So I call up Jared and I'm like, hey man, like this is a situation. He was like, well, look, if you can't do it, like you'll work from Stanford. It seems like Luke and Sean are going to have to too. And I was like, all right, so I do Stanford Tuesday and then go Wednesday to Oakland to do the rest of the series, fly Wednesday morning. And he was like, no. If you do the first game of the series here, we'll just have you do the whole series from Stanford. And I was like, I do not want to do that. Like, look, when we had to do it, pandemic, fine.
Right.
It's not the way to do a proper broadcast, you know?
Agree.
So anyway, I'm on the phone with Delta. I'm making a long story long. I'll try and hasten it up. For 40 minutes, I'm not leaving JFK because I'm afraid if she says I got a 6 a.m. flight for you that she gets me on, I can't go home.
Right.
I'm going to have to be right back here. She has nothing. Tried to get me on an Air Kenya flight. It didn't exist. I don't get it. She has nothing for me. I finally see this flight that was sold out pops up with like 3 seats on United, 6:30 a.m. out of Newark. So I'm like, oh, shoot. I'm on the phone with Delta. I'm like, can you book me on a United? She's like, let me see. She was like, just book it yourself. I'm like, okay. I quick book it. I call up Luke Miller. He quick books it. I call up Sean Sullivan. He's still asleep. He calls me back 20 minutes later. It's sold out. I now have to get to Newark from JFK. It's 2 a.m. now. I take an Uber. I just go to the Hilton at Newark. I'm like, I'll sleep for an hour and a half, 2 hours before the 6:30 flight. No hotel rooms at any of the hotels there. So I sleep for 45 minutes in a chair in the lobby of the Newark Airport Hilton, then fly the next day. There was 2 more hours of delays. I get out to San Francisco. I'm so dead tired, whatever, for the game Tuesday night. But, you know, thrilled that I made it. Thrilled that I made it for Josh's debut. Next day, I'm still like kind of out of it because I never really got fully caught up. I pulled an all-nighter basically, and I didn't really fully catch up on sleep. And then I'm like debating, do I nap or whatever? And Shaq is like, now we're morning of the perfect game. We were going to go get breakfast with a friend who we, the 3 of us had gone to Italy together a couple years ago. And we're like, you know, he couldn't make it. We're like, let's go for a walk. So Shaq and I walked the hills of San Francisco. Geez, this is long. I'm going to shorten it.
No.
We walked the hills of San Francisco the day of the perfect game, me and Shaq, for an hour, just like walking the hills. It's hard. They're real. You know? They're big hills, but it was so fun and delightful and whatever. And then, you know, we get there for the game. And at one point, one of our buddies from the group chat during the game is like, hey, everybody, like, if you're not listening, Shaq is broadcasting a perfect game right now on radio. It was like the 7th inning or something like that. And it was with me, Lou, and Bobby and Justin on the text. And I was like, someone else is broadcasting it too. And he's like, and Shaq is like texting. He's like, Rye, do not leave. If it happens, we need a picture. I was like, yes, we do. And there was a million things that happened. Like at one point, now it's funny because my sister texts me. She knows how superstitious I am. And she's like, were you doing all your crazy superstitions, whatever? And I was like, not really, because when I'm broadcasting, it's not as much. But there were 2 things that happened. At one point, I realized I was standing. Like I just stood up trying to and I realized I was still standing as Domingo was about to start the bottom of the 8th. And I was like, oh, I've been sitting the whole time. I got to sit back down. and then after the 8th inning, I realized my phone battery was low. And I was like about to plug in my phone. And I was like, no. I haven't plugged it in the whole game.
Oh,
I can't do that. And there were, you know, other little details like seeing Jeff Nelson say to me in the break, he's like, you know, you never know how you're going to feel in this after I know what I felt like when I was in the bullpen watching Coney and Wells, but my stomach, I feel like I'm going to have diarrhea. Like he didn't say throw up. He said diarrhea. Okay. Like, and so it was funny just watching all the emotions. Me and Jeff aren't even using the word perfect to each other. Like we're in that mode. And I, at one point, the best Yankee fan I know is my friend Bobby Preddy. He the 1 year I was at Loyola before I went to Fordham, I always say he saved my life. It's the 1 year of my life where I can remember I really didn't have a positive disposition. I was super depressed, and he was just the greatest friend you can have. And he is the best, most knowledgeable, heartfelt Yankee fan I know. And he's funny, and he has like he has a Curb Your Enthusiasm Seinfeld-ish humor and whatever. So I say to him, I'm like, in the 5th inning, I'm like, all right, Bob, you know what I haven't said yet. And he goes, oh, I know you haven't said it. And I said, I'm going to put it solely on you whether I start saying it when we get to the 6th inning. And the word, saying the word perfect, but I wasn't writing in the text. And he's like, you're putting this pressure on me? What? I'm like, yep, it's going to be you and you alone who decide. He's like, go for it. Say it. I'm like, all right. But at that point, I was like, I think I can navigate around it. And I kind of like the way this is feeling. So we get one out in the 6th. I don't say it. And he's like, what am I talking about? Don't say it. This is too artful. Just keep going. And in the aftermath, he's like, I can't believe I blew it. I almost blew it for you. I choked in that moment. Please forgive me. But dude, just like experiencing the moment, immediately thinking of Shaq being in the booth next door, knowing that, I grew up, I can remember exactly where I was for David Wells and David Cohn's perfect games. The Yankees are my soul, as we talked about. I'm a diehard Yankee fan. Like, I called my parents after I'd done all the interviews I had to do and whatever. And like, I was emotional talking to them on the phone because, to know my voice is attached to a piece of Yankee history like that is, to me, as cool as it gets. And so there was a high from, broadcasting that moment, experiencing that game, going through it with our amazing producer, Josh Isaac, our director, Dan Barr, Meredith, the way she killed her interviews on the field afterwards, doing it with Jeff and the outstanding job he did throughout, especially the late innings of that game. Luke in the truck, who made it and then rolled in some amazing pieces of tape, during that, and then Sean working from Stanford and our crew, and some really good, helpful stuff actually along the way from John Filippelli and Jared Boshnak, who were sending us some stuff. Like, having that team collective experience created a high that honestly lasts for a week for me, man. It was unlike anything I've ever experienced. And next, in the not too distant future, I'll have some of the memorabilia from that day behind me. I got Domingo and Higgy to sign my scorebook.
Oh, that's awesome.
Normally we don't do that kind of thing, but this is a rare exception where I was like, I'm not fucking worried about this. So we, man, it was, I just gave you a lot of different detail because you asked me to get in the weeds, but the point is, Jake, when you have an event like that, you end up remembering all those details, right? Because they all become part of the memory. And so for me, that is, I've had a lot of incredible moments already in my career. I've been unbelievably blessed, but that is definitely the most memorable night.
That's it's funny. I guess I was thinking there's gonna be some after, and you got some after in there, but you're right, man. And now I'm laughing at myself because as I've told the story of my night for the perfect game, I've told so much of the prelude. I ate at a different place than I've ever eaten in the city and all that stuff. And it is funny that stuff sticks. And man,
it does. And we did have an after. I will say, Meredith, Jeff, Luke Miller, Josh Isaac, me, Justin. We went to the bar at the W across from where we were staying. I had a couple Negronis, Spagliato, where they do Prosecco instead of gin. And at one point we were having them. Luke's like, hey, can you write me a tease for tomorrow before the broadcast? So the tease you heard, I don't know if you watched it, but we did like That's Baseball was like the last line, and like That's Sports. I actually loved the way it came out. We did it just having Negronis right there, So like it was great, man. It's just a great moment to celebrate with your teammates. And what you said before, like, why do we get into this? Because we miss playing. Because broadcasting is the closest thing to the energy of playing and that feeling of camaraderie and being a team. And that night was really like an awesome culmination of it. And I had people in the lobby like Rizzo congratulating me on the perfect game call. Booney and Harkey called me over. Great call, man. Great call. And it just felt like everybody was celebrating that moment because it truly is a team accomplishment. Domingo, obviously, number one, but also his teammates have to be perfect that night as well.
Well, and it probably won't be the last time I tell you, Ryan Ruocco, but the fact you are tied to one of the only 24, one of the foreign Yankee history that when we play that clip, that's you. That's nuts. And we'll play the Shackil one too because we love Shackil. So
love Shackil. He did a wonderful job.
We'll play him over the top of each other. Thank you.
Dude, sorry that was so long.
No,
man. Holy crap. I think that was like a 14-minute monologue. You're going to be like, we're not having Ruocco back on. I understand, guys.
You're a passionate Yankee fan, and that was all Beautiful, Ruocco.
I wanted to give you some detail, I want to give you a little detail.
I do want to, for this series, and I think, because I know I've kind of got to get moving. I want to get out of you, because there was, half of this series was fun, Yankees. So we do something called the Pride of the Yankees. Pride of the Yankees.
Pride of the Yankees. Pride of the Yankees. Yeah.
That I want the Yankee player that made you proud in this series, or, if you want to twist it, you can. But, these 2.5 games were filled with light. So give me your Pride of the Yankees, and then I think me and Beebs, I think we're gonna speed read the rest of the episode, because if I'm here till midnight, I've ruined the rest of my week. So
yeah. Well, and you just had to sit through
no.
Basically me recanting my conversation with Delta.
It was
which, by the way, I love Delta. They're amazing.
Okay.
I'm Diamond and a Million Miler. But I think my Pride of the Yankees award would be to Bader, just because, he came up with the biggest hits of their wins. And I think what I like is we have seen, he did it in October, and he didn't just do it once or twice. He did it at bat after a bat, big moment after big moment in October for them, both against Cleveland and then against Houston. You're wondering, how is it going to follow up? And up until this point, when he's been in the lineup, he has not only been an incredibly productive offensive player, he has been clutch. He has come through when they needed him to, and he has been the kind of hitter that we're talking about needing in October. So he would be my Pride of the Yankees for this series.
Us Yankee fans, sometimes we stumble into corny stuff, but I think some of that corny stuff is real, and the phrase I keep saying is that the pinstripes wear him well. In that 8th inning at bat where, I think sometimes some guys feel it in the back of their knees a little bit more, I think he turns up and he says it's my time. And the pitcher, you're actually the one who's in trouble right now, not me. I don't care what the numbers say. And I think he still has, when you talk about hope for the second half, I think when he's in the lineup, the Yankees still have a fantastic record themselves.
I think his on-off the field record is even better than Judge's.
I think they're like 27-13 in games that he plays in. So that same bucket that we've been talking about of like how can we dream for the second half, you forget he missed a chunk of the time, and he's our best. Ohtani's ruined the phrase two-way player, but he's our second best two-way player next to Judge.
Yeah. I honestly, you're right. And I think that because of that, he is worthy of the praise he is receiving on this episode of Talkin' Yanks.
Look at that. And a local boy, Rooks. Huh?
Yes, that's right. A local boy, a Westchester guy.
God, he, I remember his first outfit, he showed up in a post-game presser, was a little more swag than some of the Yankee players had. And it was like, oh boy, what are we getting here? And he has been all of it. He's been awesome. And
to button that, like to your point, like everyone was confused, obviously myself included, at that deal last year. And Montgomery's obviously been very good for St. Louis. But to your point about like where do they need things more than other, like they honestly need Bader's bat and defense and center more than they need Montgomery's arm, right? So I think that's a trade that as of this moment, and we'll see Bader's health and everything else, but you feel good about.
I'll give my quick Pride of the Yankees with you here, Rooks. I'll do Randy Vasquez, because
nice. Yeah.
I go through it, man, and I relive the emotions of the series, and we talked about how today was the big one. Well, yesterday kind of could have been the big one, and it was. If Randy Vasquez gives us 5, right? If this kid can somehow, the Baltimore Orioles at the stadium, 3rd major league start, he gave you 5. He gave you 5 shut. And it wasn't the Garrett Cole 10 Ks, but he battled, and every time he needed to make a pitch, he did. And I think if potentially if they use the pen differently, maybe they don't. And maybe the Orioles are a good team. They can come back on you. Those guys are good. But Randy Vasquez did his job. Like and he's done his job. I think his ERA, which, it's 3 starts, is sitting at 1.17, which he was starting pitcher number 9 coming into the season.
Yeah, pretty good.
So
pretty good. And this is to the broader point about what we were talking about with what they can do with pitching, right? It's impressive, man. And I like that you're giving him that award because he was thrown into the fire as the big series. You just sold out crowds on sweaty summer nights in the Bronx, and the dude went out there and delivered. So, yeah, Randy.
And, he's a guy that if the injury bug goes different this year, he could easily have not have seen big league baseball, right? I mean, between Rodon,
100%.
Nestor,
wasn't supposed to.
Frankie. That's Rooks, I forgot one thing because I did tell you this. Before we let you go, R2C2, you guys had an announcement last week, and I'll let you re-give that and give us anything else we're missing.
Yeah, so Thursday, July 13th is going to be our final episode for the season, and for the foreseeable future, we're not closing the door on continuing beyond this year, or maybe coming back in some form. We own our RSS feed. We own our YouTube page. So there are different avenues we can explore in the future. But CC and I just come to the place where we both kind of realize with the responsibilities we have right now, with our other, jobs in our professional life and our personal lives, that we haven't been able to, I think, continue to lock in on a once a week cadence the way we want to, and don't want to compromise the content. We've done it for 6 years. It's a good run. It's a long run. And we'll see, whether or not we pick it back up or do anything in the future. But for the time being, July 13th will be our final episode. And so anyone who wants to tweet at us at R2C2, it's going to be a full, fan service episode where we can try and respond and interact and go through memories with as many people as possible. So, you can comment on our YouTube page, you could tweet at us, post on our Instagram page, and that's the way we're going to go about it. And nothing happened. There's no fissure. CC and I have the exact same awesome relationship we always have. We just both kind of realized this is what we need to do right now, and then we'll see how things are going forward. But we felt like the All-Star break was the appropriate time to do it.
Well, Ryan, we could, couple Italian Yankee boys, we could taste each other all day if we really wanted to. But I will say for Yankee fans, thank you, man, because we got to do our silly stuff from the sideline and say whatever we want, and we were hidden enough for a while that it didn't didn't reach some places we didn't want it to. You guys brought us into the Yankees clubhouse, which, man, oh man, this is a team that sometimes you don't know what's going on with the star player's toe. A month and a half later, or whenever it happened, that team can be as secretive and Belichickian in their own way as they try to be. And you guys opened it up and let us in. So thank you, and thank Big C, man, because, man, some of those episodes, some of the Game of Thrones times, and
that's my favorite one, man. It's my favorite one. It's funny because we're going to go through some of that today, and Atta, one of the guys who works on our show, was like, think about your favorite moments, memories. I was like, dude, Game of Thrones at the round table with everybody was amazing.
It was wild.
Yeah, it was. The fact that we got 7 of them or 6 of them there, all breaking down what was going to happen in the finale. And remember, Mike Talkman was a maester.
Mike Talkman.
It was unbelievable. I'll forever just remember him being the central authority on Game of Thrones.
The Grand Meister Talkman.
Oh my
gosh,
he was, man.
Ryan.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you so much, brother. On semi short notice, it's good. It was good notice for myself, but I'm normally a 10-minute before guy. But on somewhat short notice, you filling in for the John Boy. I can't thank you enough, man. And I'm excited. When do we see you on a Yankees call next?
I'm filling in for Meredith tomorrow, just one game.
Okay.
And then And then I don't think you see me play by play until Detroit. I think that's the next time. So you just have to catch me on WNBA until then.
Okay, we will see you there. Man, Aces Liberty. Watch out.
Yeah, watch out, man. Watch out. Could be a fun fall with those two.
Couple super team season.
Yeah, hey, and I just want to I want to apologize to you and your audience for the level of detail I shared on my travel.
You better not.
No,
you better not, Ryan.
Jake, it was so long. It felt good for a while, and then it didn't. And I was like, but I have to finish it now. And it was hard to land that plane.
Ryan.
And there was a lot of turbulence, and you were there to experience it. So
there
should have been refreshments, and I'm sorry I
didn't. we have it forever. We have it on the call. We have it on Talkin' Yanks. You're the best, Ruocco. Hopefully we'll see you soon, man.
All right, sounds good. I love you guys' work. I love listening to your show, and it's something I always do, especially before I'm going to be broadcasting Yankees series, because I just feel like you guys always have your finger on the pulse of what's going on. So thank you, Jake.
I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that.
You got it, too.
See you, Ryan.
Be well.
All right, everybody, hold on 1 second while I reshape stuff. Jake, you can talk over this if you want.
Ryan Ruocco was brought to you by the JM Merch Store. Go get yourself some clothes, a shirt. I'm wearing a cool polo right now. I don't know if that's in the store, but we have so much stuff, Yankees related and other related. You guys are always asking how you can help out John Boy Media. Buying a shirt here and there will help you do that. Everyone go tweet at Ruocco. Again, he told you. He got into it, but that's because he's a real Yankees fan. He's passionate. He's about it. Again, I kind of teased it at the beginning that I came in and I was like, oh, Ryan Ruocco is like a TV guy. He calls games. He's the real deal. He's such a dude. He's the man, and I wish I had on tape. Jimmy was there for it as well when he was leaving that Game 3 against Houston. I mean, that was a Yankee fan. That was an angry Yankee fan leaving the building. That wasn't happening. Beebs, let's power through the second half of the episode. We did Prides. I was glad to get that in. Let's do what comes after Prides.
You Yankee motherfucker.
It is midweek. I did let Ruocco go first because I gave the guest honors, but I get the honors. And I'll do the Band-Aid for the people, and I will do Luis Severino because 2.27 earned runs. You heard it in Ruocco's voice. At a certain point, it's not acceptable. And yeah, you could be a little mad that I think there's 2 balls Brett Gardner catches in left field, but was it going to change the end result? Not at all. Not at all. Sevy's getting pummeled. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a Phantom IL and it's Rodon in, Sevy out.
Be just some creativity.
I mean,
one thing we did miss in all this, Jake Bauers is going to the IL.
Right.
So that's at least one move that wasn't on the table 24 hours ago. But
who are they going to call up?
They
Florio?
have to
Peraza?
Franchi's on the 40 man. Oh, I think he may still be on the minor league IL. I'll look into it.
Let's get there.
I don't worry about that. This is Sevy's MFer.
I'll get there. Yeah, I mean, there's not much to say. I've defended Sevy a lot. And one of my going away lines is when Sevy's been on the Yankees, he has pitched well. And he's nowhere close. The fastball is crazy hittable. And it's tough. And like you heard Ruocco say, I mean, that bullpen Sevy, we saw that happen before. You wonder the path of this season. And who's more proud, the Yankees or Sevy, to make him potentially do something like that? That it feels like we're heading towards Phantom IL. And hey, let's see how Nestor recovers from that, because he'll be back kind of soon. He's starting to throw. So Sevy, you can't have it anymore. It's July, it's the All-Star break, and the only thing I'll say to defend him, I mean, obviously the person that hates this most in the world is Luis Severino. A contract year. So, hey, however we see Sevy next, we're going to get his best effort. But right now, his best effort is one of the worst pitchers in baseball. So, Beebs, do you have an MFer?
You know, I hate when we do this. I'm looking through the stat lines, trying to figure out if somebody would be skirting it if I didn't do. We're doubling on Sevy, man.
Okay.
He's gotten this treatment a couple times this year already, I think, but like he's the one. None of the relievers deserve it. I know, like we didn't get Nick Ramirez's best game yesterday.
He could have got a Bride Orman MFer in this series.
He doesn't deserve it. Hamilton does not deserve it. The batting lines are all, none of them stand out particularly bad. Like it's Sevy twice, man. It's the biggest thing from this series is that he is not what the Yankees need.
Whole episode could be flipped on its head, right? Like the whole episode, Sevy 6-1 Ernie. You know, it could have been a lot more. It could have been a lot more Volpe's hot. It could have been a lot more, Judge updates. It could have been getting hot into the break. Instead, it's not. And Sevy's gonna wear that, and he has to. And I hope, I hope there's a point in the season where we're saying a different tune about him because, a guy that had some high moments, we're waiting, and it doesn't look like it's coming anytime soon. So with that, regular awards. I'm losing my words. Are brought to you by me. How about that? Brought to you by Threads. Go follow
Warehouse Games.
Go follow all of JM on Threads. Actually, go check out Warehouse Games. Our ball and play is killing it.
There's a game that went out today.
Yeah,
I don't know.
BBD on the field. I've got an award that relates to being on the field. I'm going to go with the I've Got Friends in Low Places award. You ever been at a bar when that kicks in, BBD?
Can't say I've actually had that experience. Familiar with the song.
Get you to Nashville at some point. Do you have any guesses?
Oh. Friends in Low Places award. Is this Glaber?
It is not Glaber. It's someone akin to Glaber. It's going to DJ LeMahieu. We had a nice powwow while we were watching the game. DJ LeMahieu was batting 7th tonight, and nobody was shook by it because DJ hasn't been performing this year. But I said to myself, I was like, wait, DJ LeMahieu batting 7th? I don't know if I think we've seen this. I see Estevan Florial on the Yes Network screen, which makes me think Jack Curry is having conversations.
40-man spots are opening up.
DJ was 1 for 11 this series. The stats are horrific. Gave the speech so many times about how last year he was good in front of Judge, blah, blah, blah. His OBP coming into today was 287, a 219 batting average. This is DJ LeMahieu. Career 293. I don't know if he's hurt. I don't know if he's old. It doesn't feel like he's that old. He's 34. He turns 35 the 13th, so coming up. He hadn't batted below 7th or lower since his first season with the Yankees. I think it was April 22nd, about 3 weeks into him being a Yankee. Remember, super util DJ didn't start opening day, like you mentioned, Beebs. And I don't know. There's a lot of concerns about this team. And, hey, there's been a lot of guys in baseball history that have had bad first halves and good second halves. DJ is not dripping with optimism, and him sliding down the lineup today and it not even really affecting me was kind of that ended up being the whoa moment because
us not really noticing it until like his second at bat.
Because this was our 1 or our 5 coming into the season in our heads.
Yeah, it's like on days we get real weird with it, they drop him to 4, and that's weird.
Sad, man. I know he was late on a couple balls, and there was one that just missed the line, but it does not feel like DJ LeMahieu that we fell in love with the past couple years. So scary. You have an award, Beeps?
Yeah, I I feel a little bad. I prepped some nice ones last week, filling in a little more prep time. So I'm going off the cuff, people. It's really weird award.
It's really weird award. Been there. It's really weird award is going to Anthony Rizzo.
That's really weird too. But it is going to Josh Donaldson. Just the in-wins and losses split got worse. This was kind of a last award vibe, but I had the numbers in front of me coming into today. He started in just as many wins as losses before today. It's a 269 OPS in wins. It got even worse than the last time we checked in a few weeks ago. That's 3 hits total in wins, and he has 10 hits in losses. He's 1 dotting in them that could have shifted today. It just we said it then. I've never seen the split look like that, and it's hard to take real conclusions from it. And even under most circumstances, like yeah, most of the time you're better in the wins, and obviously flipping that is weird, but small samples, all that. It's weird, and the split has gotten worse, and I don't get it. It's weird. It's the weirdest stat we've maybe ever come across. And
we are in the, well, I'm not going to say we're in the final days, but we're in a very interesting, 4 weeks coming up for Donaldson. Is he going to do enough that makes the front office believe? Can he possibly do enough to make Yankee fans believe? We've been skeptical. Or are we going to wake up around the deadline saying, what is he going to the Dodgers for? What 15th ranked prospect, Clayton Beeter, Futures All-Star game. Yeah, no, it's bizarre. We've clicked around a lot of those. It was one of the weird baseball reference pages we stumbled into, and it obviously doesn't mean as much as we think it could mean. But
yeah, the boos got really loud for him game 1. John Boy was all over that in the group chat.
Yeah,
I was at that game. It was really loud. It was really loud.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty funny that in the same game, Donaldson, Stanton, Hicks for the Orioles, and someone else got booed. IKF, I think.
Maybe on that weird play and left.
Yeah,
I think he's I think on that play, there's some.
My final and most prestigious award is the couple guys that need to be talked about. Is the My Dribble Award.
My Dribble Award. My Dribble Award. Let's anticipate. Reliable. You guessed Rizzo last time. We do need to talk about him a bit. Anthony Rizzo.
You used good logic there, but it is not. It is going to IKF. If you know anything about my basketball game, there's not a ton to it, but especially dribbling with my left hand, going left, that's not my game. And IKF, he has been a fine on the year. He's been great recently. Utility type player. I mean, some of his hitting numbers recently, you can butter knife him pretty good, and we've been doing that in our Talkin Yanks group chat. But man, left field at Yankee Stadium that we have been preached to for the past decade leading up to this as a premier defensive position in baseball. If you're the Yankees and you play 81 games here, having a world-class left fielder gives you an advantage to the opposing team, who if they come in without a plus left fielder, they will be at a disadvantage at Yankee Stadium because it is massive and it is tough to play. So IKF, our hot heartthrob, has been thrown into left field now, which is harder to play than center field. I don't normally say that, but at Yankee Stadium, it is. Balls come off the bat differently to the side. and there's just as much ground to cover in center field without as good of an angle on the play, that I was tough on IKF, a game where Sevy needed any help he could get, and IKF could not deliver it to him. But it's because IKF shouldn't be in left field. A plus defensive left fielder should be. And you mentioned that play in the first game. And, the 2 balls today, one, it's still, you see him take a wide receiver route and change directions at the end, which is tough. But yeah, it shouldn't be on IKF. It should be on the fact that they don't have that left fielder. And hey, maybe if Florial's the call, I wonder if he ends up out there. But yeah, a position and just an ideology that should be a Yankees leg up has put them at a disadvantage all year. And it's hurting their pitchers. It's hurting their players' morale. It's hurting everything. So that's my dribble for you. BBD, the final and most prestigious award of the show.
Final most prestigious award of the show. Might be the first person to ever give this out 2 episodes in a row. Final slot. How about that? Scouring our list, seeing who needs a discussion, who hasn't come up this episode at all yet. Think I'm giving out the Checkmark Award.
The Checkmark Award. Okay. The Checkmark Award.
And there's a lot of funny business around the titling of this.
Fantastic. Let's go Stanton.
It is Stanton.
Nice.
Famous shoe company with a checkmark logo. They call it a swoosh. And their catchphrase is just do it. And I kind of need Stanton to fully go very soon. If not this series and like kind of right after the break, please. We really need him. The numbers are not bad this series, but like one of these weeks we gotta see. Oh, Stanton had a big week. We've seen it this year. He's not a guy who I would allege is cooked, but I need to see it. We need it to start happening.
Yeah, and it's the hidden, and I wanted to make sure I got the point in when we were talking to Ruocco, because I took a mini jab at the second half of the lineup, because on a given day it can be an interesting bunch down there. But in the third game, again a very pivotal game to the emotions of this series, the top 4 in the lineup put up an 0 for 16. Donaldson had a nice day at the office. IKF, Volpe, Higgy all contributed with hits that it's one of the clouds that we end up landing on so many times, and it's scary because DJ is supposed to be a part of this conversation, but right now he's out. Rizzo is showing signs of life, but there's zero power, which, we're going back deep now. And it ties a lot into the Judge times, which that's even scarier. Like, how dependent is he on him? That these are the guys that we should, if the Yankees do have a hot streak, it should be Giancarlo went nuts this series. When's the last time we said that? Like, nuts. Anthony Rizzo went nuts this series. That hasn't happened. Glaber's had a couple okay ones, but he's supposed to be, stirring the drink. He's not supposed to be the drink. These other guys are supposed to be, and I don't know. Luckily, Stanton has shown enough signs.
Yeah, I'm not at a point where I'm not worried about him.
We talked about it with Boone, that Yenny or Cano at bat. That felt important. Man, I don't know. Again, we're not getting the Cubs A's guys this weekend. If you can win a series, even 2 out of 3, it would feel so much different and better as we get our next updates, but we need more.
And he is a guy that we are supposed to have massive expectations for. So
right.
His numbers, yeah, they are fine over the last week and a half, like since the A's series. He's one of those guys that got sparked a little bit. It's been better. The rust seems largely knocked off, but you're a guy that we're supposed to have big expectations for. You're supposed to be our go button, particularly if Judge is out. Like you're a guy who gives us a winning week by yourself when you're at your best.
Right. Right. We've seen
We've been
Stanton
missing
take
it.
overs. We've seen him be the scariest player on the field, and we haven't seen that in a bit. Let me check some boxes quick along the way because, again, this was a little bit of a different episode. Glaber, 3 for 16, which is not good, and he overdives that ball in the last game. But, I mean, there's so many other problems that it doesn't.
We discussed it in the Boone thing, the base running.
Aggressive
So
base running.
That worked out great that day. Loved it that day.
Yeah.
Has the big homer early, same game.
Bowers to the IL, a guy that's been a mainstay in a key cog, sometimes a leadoff cog in the lineup. He's going to be out now in one of our lefty bats, so that is going to feel impactful.
Seeing his games played number the other day when I was just doing a baseball reference scroll, he has been on this team.
He's been on the team. Billy McKinney finishes 1 for 5. A lot of his magic has worn off. You wonder if he's going to get more opportunities. It's felt a little less magical. Maybe he's got more in the bag, but I don't know.
They basically had a week of him not being around.
Yeah, they kind of ended the experiment, and now we might need it even more.
They said he fouled a ball.
Right. He hit his
on
foot
the West Coast, so I suppose it's that.
So are we
hoping for some magic today? But.
Down to one outfielder again. Volpe, a bright spot. We talked about it. The series numbers end up not being impressive. They slide him back up the lineup, which I don't like, but I also get they're doing out of necessity. Again, let's finish strong into the break. All the chicken parm numbers and just the whole feel around it is good. That for me, with everything else going on, it's like a set it and forget it. That I wish we could have just kept him in the bottom of the lineup.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess that's.
But
we talked about it a little midweek.
He's been their only hot hitter, so
he's been by far and away for 3 full weeks best hitter on the team. So I get why he tried it out. Said it on the pregame show. It probably would have saved that move for coming out of the break. Give him a few days to
ride it into the break. That's all. I said that. I felt that. I believe in that, and they couldn't. And part of me gets why, but it's also like
I see it all.
It's also like don't have your cookies before dinner. Like that's kind of what it felt like to me. Catchers end up having a nice series, hilarious. IKF we talked about. Oswaldo floating around.
Oswaldo, such a weird spot.
Ian Hamilton is back in the bullpen. He survives his first outing. He doesn't survive the second outing, which is tough. Nick Ramirez, zigzag. Not going to King again when you're getting him up. I was on this before. It feels like Mike King has now entered into tie games or losing situations far too often. Like, let's maybe use him and stretch out a lead.
To not have him there when it was a game that...
It feels
the
like
context felt like he was always going to be in this game, so get him in there.
It feels like you had something and then you didn't, and then it feels like you wasted again a guy that is your advantage, and that one irks me. Davey Garcia, pride of the Yankees. ERA is looking good.
Hey, good job, Davey. 62.
Bought his newspaper. Still the only newspaper I think I've ever bought. ERA down to 1.59. Guys, funky episode, long episode, State of the Union. That's how it goes sometimes. Give Ryan Ruocco a thank you. Thank you to BBD. Thank you for you guys for tuning in and locking into this. And, I think we will be talking to you from Seattle Sunday. It might be Canobio time. We'll see.
We got to figure out the setup.
Figure out all the logistics around it. Hey, let's go Yanks. Tell them Grandma.
Go Yankees.
I'm ready for